Okay, today we're going to get ready to plant our tomatoes. There's a little bit of planning that needs to go into your tomatoes. You don't just go to the store and buy some plants and bring them home and stick them in the ground. You have to think about what you're doing a little bit. So in this particular garden spot right here, we've prepared it. We tilled it up. We've built this bed up last year, and so this year we just tilled it, got it cleaned up. We put down some weed barrier cloth on either side of our row of tomatoes here. Susan's talking about strawberries, so forgive me, but this is tomatoes we're talking about planting. And so that's going to control the weeds on either side. As we come down this bed planting our tomatoes, if you look down this row, these nails represent where the tomato plants are going to go, and we space them out based on our tomato cages and how this all fits together. And you know, in the past we've put a little cover over the top of them to keep hard driving rain from damaging them and that sort of thing, and it will do the same thing here. So it's all laid out. The soil test said we didn't need any lime, so we've already put our fertilizer down to plant them with down the row, and we put in our irrigation system. We're using drip irrigation here with little bubbler heads on the end of these hoses. That concentrates the water to our plant. I'm going to turn this on in a minute and let you see, because that's another good thing to do, is to run your irrigation before you plant and make sure that it's putting water out where the tomatoes are going to be. If it's not, you need to adjust that, and don't plant a tomato plant in a dry spot that's on your irrigation line. So some people use soaker hoses, but in this particular case, you use a little bit less water than a soaker hose uses, and it concentrates it directly on your plant. So let me turn this on and let's watch it run here for just a minute. I'm going to step right over here and turn the valve. And so you'll see that these bubblers down the row here, they will put out the water, and it concentrates it around the plant. So I know when I plant a plant where that nail is, and I put that bubbler next to the plant, that it's going to be watering my plant. They put out a little bit more water than you would think. That's the other thing you need to know, is how much water are you putting in the garden. These put out about a gallon every 15 minutes. So you don't need to water this thing, but no more than 30 minutes at the most, but maybe even less than that. And you need to know that, or you'll flood your plant. And plants that have soaked roots, drowned roots, don't function, and so you'll wind up with tomato problems because of your water system. So you need to know how much it puts out, you need to know where it's putting it out, and then get prepared to plant your tomato plant there. These things are easy to move out of the way when you get ready to plant. If I move right over here, you know, they just stick in the ground, so I can put this completely out of the way, and then put it back after I plant my tomatoes. And it makes a nice little spot there where they're going to be planted. Once we plant them, we'll bring out our tomato cages. They're sitting down here on the end of the row. We'll put a tomato cage over them. We'll bring the top over the top of them, and then they'll be ready to sit here and grow. We'll come back and pick tomatoes after that. And also, after we plant the tomatoes, we're going to mulch. The rest of this row is going to be mulched with newspaper. Then we'll come back on top of that with, you can use straw. We've been using pine straw. Some people don't like to use pine straw because when you turn it in, it can lower the pH of your garden. But we just kind of pull this off at the end of the season and don't till too much of it in. And it's showed up this year. Our pH is a little bit above 6.5, so we got kind of a high pH in this area, even though we're using pine straw. So, and the pine straw, it stays dry. I don't have to worry about buying some straw that might have had a few wheat seed in it to grow some weeds, and it keeps the tomatoes off the ground and just works really well. So the other thing that we do in preparation for planting the tomatoes, over here on the other side, I've already planted 2 rows of sunflower seed and a row of grain sorghum. That's going to attract leaf-footed bugs and stink bugs when the season gets going. And in about 3 weeks from when we planted those, I'll plant another couple of rows, and 3 weeks after that another couple, so that I have sunflowers coming on through my whole tomato growing season here, so that those bugs that like sunflowers better than tomatoes will have plenty to eat without bothering my tomatoes, and I won't have to be out here spraying, trying to get rid of the bugs. So that's what we wanted to talk about today. And so it's time to plant tomatoes, so get out there and get ready. If you plant tomatoes when the soil's too cold, then you're going to have problems. You're going to have root problems, you're going to have stunted growth, you might have some damping off where the stem just kind of rots right around in a circle and kills your plant. So there's all sorts of things that happen when you plant them too early. We want that soil to be up there at 60, 65 degrees at the 4-inch depth before we think about planting tomatoes. We want to wait until after at least the second week in April, so that we're not going to get hit with the frost. And so those are all things that you take into account before you put your tomatoes in the ground. And I think now we're going to go inside. I think Susan is fixing us a strawberry breakfast cake inside. So we're going to get out of the hot sun and go eat some strawberries.